Welcome everybody back to issue number 2 of Color Break. I'm your host Cody, and I'm here with my friend, as
Yeah,
always. We have
comic book
Christian. What's up,
stash.
buddy?
Comic book stash.
Comic book stash. Yep.
I know. In the video there would
Um,
be like our names down there, but let's say them.
wow, dude. Issue number 2. Who thought we'd make it this far?
I didn't even think we'd make it to number one.
Right, yeah. I mean, setting up number 1 was kind of a hassle, but dude, we're back. Oh, and I gotta say right off the top, man, we got a lot of positive feedback for
Yeah,
issue
yeah.
number
Thank
1. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
really great.
I do want to say some things that I think we didn't really talk about last time because we didn't know about them.
Go for it. Oh,
Um,
yeah.
so I'll say this, and Cody can correct me. This is also if you're I don't know where you're listening or watching this, but it's on Spotify, YouTube, and other places where you can listen to it. And Cody knows the specifics because I don't handle that.
Right. Yeah, so I managed to put the podcast on Apple Podcasts, if that's where you'd like to listen to it. It's also on Amazon Podcasts and also Audible for some reason. I didn't know Audible did podcasts, but
We're a book
we're on
now.
Audible. Yeah, we're a book. That's official. And then also the last one, oh yeah, Google Podcasts. I think we're on there
Oh, that's
too.
good.
If there's a platform that like those of you that are listening or watching, you would prefer it on a different platform, definitely let me know and I can try to set it up. But I think that should cover, like mostly Spotify and YouTube. I think that'll cover pretty much
Yeah.
everybody. But
Also, make
yeah,
sure to rate this 5 stars or whatever you want to rate this. If you don't like it, you don't have to rate it 5 stars.
true.
Like we
That's
said,
so
third
true.
favorite, third favorite podcast.
Yeah, and oh, so one of the features that I thought we'd mention right at the top, in case anyone was interested, on Spotify, if you look down below, there's actually a spot where you can add suggestions. So we did that for our first episode after the fact, first issue after the fact. We got some responses, so we'll definitely try to include some of those as minor topics. So if you got anything you'd like to hear us talk about, definitely suggest it below on Spotify or leave a comment on YouTube. But
Yeah, we also
yeah,
included a poll, which we might do in every episode, but I don't know. But that would be cool, you know. So
yeah,
you can answer a poll if polls are your thing. But no,
yeah.
honestly, I know
I
it's
think.
you go, Cody.
Oh, so I was just gonna say, any way that we would like to take topics from you guys and poll. I was trying to think of a funny question for this one. I think I have it. So yeah, definitely look below on Spotify and answer that poll. I'm not gonna tell Christian what it is until the episode's up yet. So
Okay, so I want to say this, and I know we've been talking about ourselves for a while, but yeah, I mean we're a small podcast. We want to say that. So if you comment, we're most likely definitely gonna read it. So yeah, if
true,
you have any
absolutely true.
question or something that you want us to talk about, we can do that. Yeah, no, suggestions are always welcome, and it's been a ton
Yeah,
of fun. I hope you guys enjoyed
yeah,
it, and
dude.
thank you honestly for the support.
Yeah,
So
it's been really cool to see. I love recording my conversations with Christian. I don't talk to him outside of the podcast at all. It's kind of weird to record all our conversations and turn it into a
it kind of
podcast
feels like the
on the
Truman Show.
internet. Oh, true. Yeah, dude, that's a good movie.
That it's a great movie.
Speaking of movies, kind of
Look at that transition.
segue Disney Plus segue. She-Hulk came out.
Yes. And
Yeah,
listen,
dude.
I wasn't, and I'll say this. I'll be totally honest. I wasn't really like dying to watch it, but I watched episode 1, and now I'm
Yep, I
dying to
get that.
watch it because it was a fun
Agreed.
time.
Agreed.
It's simple as a fun time. I mean, it was a very deep
Yeah,
show, and they had a lot of topics that were important, but it was fun.
Dude, I think I totally agree with you. So, episode one of She-Hulk, this will be a spoiler-free review, by the way. I want to say that right off the top, just in case, someone didn't just turn it off. But episode one of She-Hulk, I think you're totally right. Dude, the best word I can use to describe it, you said fun, right? I'm gonna say like breezy. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Is that like,
That
does
makes
that make sense?
sense. That
Like
makes
the
sense. I
pacing
wouldn't have thought of
was
it.
so to me, like the pacing was it was perfectly paced. All the jokes actually landed, and if they weren't that funny, like it didn't feel like an out of place kind of joke. You know what I mean? Like I think
I
for
think
Thor: Love
it
and
comes
Thunder, a
from
lot of the
it.
jokes maybe felt weird, but
I think it comes from it being super self-aware. It's a very
right,
self-aware show, so when they do a joke, it normally lands because they know what they're doing. They're not trying to be
totally,
something they're
yep,
not.
agreed.
I want to
Yeah,
get into the
I
topic of the CGI, because I know it was
dude,
a
let's
big
do it.
thing. Watching the trailers, everyone was kind of disappointed about the CGI. I want to say this, um, it was good. I had no complaints. There was never a point at which I was like, "Oh,
Yeah,
that looks shaky." No, it looked pretty good.
yeah, I totally agree. I think, what's weird though? The CGI was like totally fine. I think people were overblowing it. Even in the trailer, I was like, this is what everybody's complaining about. But it is kind of weird to me when they show like She-Hulk and then, Mark Ruffalo's Hulk. For some reason, like Hulk just looks a lot better. You know what I mean?
I think
Does
I
that make
know
sense?
why,
Like when
and
they
I
show
think
them
I
side
know
by
why.
side. Okay,
And I think the reason why is because they
lay it on
kind
me.
of have had the model of Hulk for so many years.
It's
Like
true.
because
Yep.
like while it is a different look, it's the same, like physics and everything. Like from let's say Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Let's say Ragnarok is the starting point of this Hulk, right? Or like this look when they updated the hair and everything. So they have had more time to work with the design and get the skin correctly. Also, I feel like it's
True.
because he has like a little like stubble and more details in his face, as where her face is smoother.
Smoother.
So
Yep. I was just about to
you
say
lose a
that.
lot of the lighting, like the lighting hitting the skin and refracting, and it feels more human when there's more things to look at, and I think that's
Yeah,
why.
it's that whole like uncanny valley thing, right? Um,
Yes, but I don't want to say that she looked bad. She looked incredible. I
she
honestly,
looked way better than the trailers for sure, right? So
yeah, I think it was like, don't expect a lot from the first trailer. Like it's the first trailer. They fixed things. I mean, and I know a lot of people have used Sonic as an example, but like Sonic.
right, right.
So the story, I want to talk about the story a little bit, and I want to pass it on to you. But I want to say that
Yeah,
being a super self-aware show, without getting into spoilers, it gets into some topics that are, I think, important, especially with how people have been talking about the show, especially like, oh, She-Hulk, and like, um, she can't be stronger than the Hulk. No, there's an actual reason, and they touch on those topics, and they do it, I think, in a very nice way. So I wanna ask you,
Mhm.
Cody, what you think about that?
Yeah, totally. I think that a lot of the kind of commentary throughout the show, right? Like the theme or whatever, the first episode of this was kind of like there's a reason why she can do everything better, and you're right, they do explain that, and it makes total sense to me. But it's also kind of this like almost sibling like rivalry with like, oh, I can do this better than you, right? Like that's kind of how it came off to me, even though they're cousins.
Yeah, I want to say, and
But
I've heard a lot of people talk about it and give good points. I don't know if you know Jave Stoops. Great points,
yep,
a TikToker. And there's a lot of talk about male ego in this, and the male psyche, and why
yep,
she's not. They've never said she's stronger, by the way. She's just more in control of her form as the Hulk. And I do think, and you can see it. Well, we can all agree that the Hulk is a good guy. Like out of all the Avengers, if anything, I would say he's very calm, being the angriest one. You know, but there was some ego being like shown when like even in the trailers. That's why I don't think it's a spoiler. Like in the trailer, I think
Yeah,
trailer number one, he pushes her off a cliff when when she does something better than him, and
right.
that's a big part of like an ego problem, and it shows, and she doesn't have that issue. So I think it's nice that they touched on it. Nothing felt forced, by the way. I want to say that touching a big topic,
True.
sometimes it's hard to put them into a story, but I think they really hit all the topics in a very nice and simple way. That I think if people have a problem with it, um, I don't know, maybe you're part of the problem, buddy.
Dude, I'm totally with you. So I'm trying to think, right? Because out of all of the, just focusing on episode number one of all these different shows, it's so crazy how unique each show has been from the last. And I'm trying to think. I think this episode one might be like third out of all the MCU shows so far. I know episode one of like Miss Marvel. Maybe this is recency bias since it just ended, but episode one for that was totally a surprise hit for me. And then obviously WandaVision had a pretty strong start as well. Um, but yeah, I think this one it totally set everything up. The origin story, whatever. Now we're gonna get ready to go. Like now, next week, we're just gonna be jumping right into it. When some of these other shows take a while to kind of rev up, you know what I mean? So
Yeah, I agree, and I think it's one of those things where, like for example, Miss Marvel, and I always talked about it. The beginning wasn't my favorite. I never thought it was bad, but it just felt like it wasn't for me. Once it ended, I even
exactly.
cried a
Yep.
couple times. I will admit that I cried
Right.
twice watching Miss Marvel, but the thing that Miss Marvel had that was that stylistically it was the most unique MCU Marvel show that they had, and I think
Absolutely. Yep.
this one is not as much stylistically like talking about visuals, but writing wise, it's very different.
Agreed. Yep. Because a lot of the complaints, and I think some of them are justified actually. But I'm a big fan of the MCU. I know you are too. But some of the jokes, like you can kind of see when everybody's talking about, like, oh, it's nothing but just jokes. And this one, it really worked for me because, like you're saying, the writing was so strong. And I think that her portrayal of Jennifer and also She-Hulk, it's a really strong performance. And I know a lot of people couldn't really see it right when the casting was first announced. But this first episode proved to me that no, she's She-Hulk. Everybody shut up. You know what I mean? Like we're good.
Yeah, yeah. I want to say that
So
nothing bothered me except for one part on the episode. Once again,
okay.
not a spoiler. This is something that just bothered me, and it was Mark Ruffalo saying "bruh" because he didn't say "bro." He said "bruh." Even the subtitles, he
Yeah,
said "bruh." That's the only thing about this show that bothered me. That
I
should tell you how
totally
good
I
it
know what you
is.
mean. Yeah. If yeah, that's like a whole other can of worms. Like I don't know, writers injecting like cool kids slang into their TV show. But yeah, overall, I think the super strong first episode for She-Hulk. I can't wait for the rest of it. Do you know if this is going to be an eight episode or is it going to be like six or something?
I was
I don't know
about
if you
to ask
know.
you the same thing, Cody, because I honestly don't
Yeah,
know.
so I know that I heard that this one has shorter episodes. So you'd think, okay, shorter episodes, maybe they have more episodes. Um, so I think this first one was maybe like 35, like a regular sitcom
Yeah, it was
um,
37 minutes, if I'm not
episode length.
mistaken.
So
I
gotcha.
will
Yeah. So
say,
I don't know.
I hope, because I know we've gotten some season two announcements. Oh, well, Moon Knight didn't really get an announcement, but they're going for a season two. My hope is that with a show like She-Hulk, they're creating these very strong, interesting characters. I hope my ideal MCU thing would be that here's the show. You like the show? Here's a movie. Like I want the shows to
Right.
be like kind of like to prepare you for a movie, which is why some of the season 2 announcements have been kind of a letdown for me, but not entire. I mean, Loki. I'm going to watch season 2 because I thought Loki was great. But like Moon Knight, I was like, man, I want a Moon Knight movie. I don't want
Right.
another show. And I don't know how people feel about that. I know that's my opinion, and it doesn't have to. Nobody's opinion has to mirror mine. That's just how I feel about it.
Right. Yeah, I think Disney Plus is kind of interesting because it lets them kind of like test the waters without really. Um, I mean, it's always a risk to, greenlight a show and fully produce it and put all the episodes out, but it's kind of less risky in my mind than a movie would be, right? Um, so, 10 episodes, She-Hulk, see how people like it. If people end up liking it, then they set up for more. And I think you're right. So I'm trying to think what else has had a season two, like Loki. Loki season two, I know is in production, but that's because Loki's such a fan favorite character, right? I'm trying to think. I think they're hinting at a Moon Knight one, but I don't know if that's confirmed, right?
Uh,
So
I don't know. I mean, there's that one clip of Oscar Isaac in Cairo on a random boat
okay,
with the
yeah,
director of Moon Knight, but that's about it.
okay, yeah, that's right,
I mean, he kind of says like, you know what we're doing here, something like that. I'm paraphrasing my memory,
right.
but I kind
But
of
yeah,
wish
I
that.
think it's totally perfect because oh, I
Yeah,
was
I
just gonna
just
say, so like for example, you have WandaVision, and then that launches Wanda straight into Multiverse of Madness, right? Miss
exactly.
Marvel right into the Marvels. So it's kind of doing what you're suggesting, but I agree. Like some of these characters definitely deserve, to be seen on the big screen, sort of thing. So
I think that the issue that they're having is that we have had that episode 5 problem where episode 5 is the best one and then episode 6 is not the best one. And I think the issues that like Moon Knight could have been a story that could have been told in 2 hours, right? As a movie. I feel like the entire plot of Moon Knight could have been a movie. You know, you sacrifice going really deep into the topics, but I think it would have worked, honestly.
yeah,
But I think they're drawing it out so long that once they get to the conclusion, they have to wrap up everything quick. Like they give you
yeah,
five
I
episodes
agree.
of just full exposition, character development, and then in the sixth one, they're like, "Oh, we have to end this now. What do we do?" I think that's the issue. Well, that's why I think Moon Knight would have been better as a movie. I don't know if that's a hot take, but it's my take.
Yeah, I mean that's totally reasonable for me. I think Moon Knight's probably the best example of that. But then on the flip side, you have things like I'm trying to think, maybe Hawkeye. That one works so good as a show. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah, not all of
Um,
them have to be movies,
I know
but
what you mean though. Yeah, definitely. It's got that. It's definitely just pacing issues, right? But I think I don't know. Maybe it's too soon to say, but with the recent string of them, um, maybe they're starting to find the groove, right? So
I'm excited. Uh, there's some things that I kind of wish were movies, but I'm gonna watch everything. That's the thing. I will watch everything. I'm not gonna say like, oh, this like for example, Wars, which they haven't re-announced because they announced it once. They didn't announce it twice. Like I don't think I heard about
right.
Armor Wars in Comic Con, but I feel like that Secret Invasion. I would have liked to see that as a movie because it's such an iconic storyline. But at the same time, like we haven't even seen a trailer. I'm just being stupid over here. You know, maybe that show is gonna be my
No,
favorite show.
right. Yeah, it's weird because I don't know. Sometimes you watch a movie and you're like, man, I wish this was longer. So okay, the next step would be a mini series show, but then you're like, oh, okay, the pacing is totally whack, right? So I don't know. Definitely is hard to find that middle ground that'll, you know,
I
please
think they'll get
everybody or
it.
whatever.
I think
For
they'll get
sure.
it for sure.
Um, so yeah, I don't know. You got any final thoughts for the She-Hulk episode number one?
Uh, expect for anyone who hasn't watched it and is joining along for us just talking about it. Uh, um, how would I describe it? Expect a fun time. There are some very serious topics that are being discussed there, and you know, like just be ready for that. But at the same time, nothing's gonna be like forced. Nothing's gonna be. like cringy, which I know a lot of people expected cringy from this show. No, it's even like even a character. Well, we know She-Hulk is like the OG fourth wall breaker. That was pretty subtle. Like all those jokes were pretty like simple, and I liked how simple it is for such a comedic show.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Um,
Oh, and I hope
yeah, dude.
Bruce Banner doesn't say "bruh" anymore.
Hey, please stop saying, bro. Yeah, I'm with you there. Nah. I guess my final thoughts kind of echo yours. It's just, it's a super fun show. Go into it with an open mind. Don't listen to those MCU bros on TikTok, man. The show is, turns out they were totally wrong, and the show is actually good. So, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely check it out.
and for anyone review bombing She-Hulk, yeah, I
Oh,
mean,
man, yeah.
just know, I always say everyone's opinion matters. I don't know about that one though.
Yeah, you have to like at least watch you can't review bomb something that hasn't even come out yet. That's so crazy, man. It's even possible. Like even from a technological standpoint, right? Like,
Yeah, at least you have like a timer on it.
um, but yeah,
Not even like not even a timer to like
right,
oh it released. No, a timer like 37 minutes after release time, so it actually makes sense.
right. So you gotta make sure you at least, or like you have to sign a form that like I watched the
I
show,
watched.
right? Like, yeah,
Yeah,
um,
it's a big
yeah,
shame
that was
that
our.
the show was review bombed, but I liked it, so I don't care about those reviews.
Yeah, and I'm sure the She-Hulk numbers are just fine as far as for the first episode. So I don't know if they really care about review bombing. Yeah, but yeah, that was our first episode. She-Hulk will be, I guess, like finger on the pulse. Will be checking in every now and then on Color Break. So for our next topic, right? Christian and I, big fans of our LCS. We would say they're even like family, right, Christian?
I would go as far as to say, without saying many details about it, that I have many times considered making a documentary about them, and even talking to them about making it.
Ooh,
Because I don't think
that
I
would
ever
be
said I
actually
studied
really
film.
cool.
I studied film, and I've been looking for like a purpose. And yeah, I love my LCS. Like they're family to me, and when I go visit them, it doesn't feel like a chore. It's not like, oh, I have to go to the store. No, I go there, and sometimes I will tell my girlfriend, like let's say I'm going to my girlfriend's house afterwards. It'll be like, hey, today I won't stay there and talk.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, dude.
just
It's we love our LCS, dude. I'm totally with you. Like every week, it's just okay, I'm picking up my books, right? It's supposed to be like a business transaction, but LCS is definitely one of those, stay, chat for 10 or 15 minutes. What's new with the MCU?
30.
Any new movies, anything like that? Yeah, or 30. Yeah,
Oh, and for anyone
um,
who doesn't know what LCS means, because I know I didn't
totally.
know,
Yep.
local comic shop.
Right. Always
There you
support
go.
your LCS however you can. It's unfortunate some people don't have an LCS. I was definitely in that boat for a little bit. I actually used Midtown Comics Online. We talked about that in the last episode, but that was my LCS for a little bit there. So I'll pass this question off to you, Christian. What do you like about your LCS, right? What makes you such a loyal customer? What are some of the things that they do that you like?
I mean, it just always felt like family.
Hmm.
I think it's as simple as that. Since the first day I walked in, when I told Brian, I don't even want to say Brian, the guy who works there, Brian, my friend, I told him, like, hey, I want to start reading. And it wasn't a chore for him, it was exciting. And sometimes I'll just get random things in my pull list that he thinks I'll like, and he doesn't miss. Every
Dude,
time I buy
so
something that he
true.
recommends, I'm like, oh, this was great. Thank you, Brian. If you're listening to this right now, Brian, thank you.
Yeah, dude. I totally agree because a lot of people, I think they would kind of wonder, like how do you get an LCS? Like, what are some of the first steps? Man, honestly, find the nearest one closest to you. Just ask them, "Hi, I'm new to comics. Like, where do I start?" Any LCS owner, LCS employee that's worth their I don't know, that's worth anything will know how to answer that question, right? Because in theory, they love this medium so much, and they're going to introduce you to a lot of different cool things. That's how it was for me too. Same as Christian. Just walk in and say, "Hi, I'm new to the area. Can you help me make a pull list?" First question right there. And
Yeah.
a lot of different shops have different ways of doing it. I know for me, if I have any updates, just send Julie an email and she hooks me up. Um, so I guess that's another thing that I like about my LCS is that they have a line they have a line of communication other than just going to the shop um, to do pull list updates. How does your shop do like if you want to add or drop something? How do they do it?
Uh, you have to like either call them or do it in person.
Hmm.
I know that for me, like I said, I'm friends with the person that works there, so I can just text them. That's not for everyone,
Nice,
I'm
that's what I
sure.
was wondering. Yeah.
But like I would say this. I want to recommend something because I know Cody. I don't know how many stores you have where you live, but I have a lot of them. And I think sometimes, and that's one of like the downsides of social media, is that we can look at TikToks of like another person's store, and it's a three-story store with giant statues, and it looks incredible. In the end, while that's really cool, and I'm glad you have that, and I'm jealous sometimes, that means nothing. The store doesn't need to be
Yeah.
glamorous. I think the crux, the most important thing of a comic book store is its people. Because if I go to my comic book store, which first of all, let's give him a shout out, Phil's Comic Shop. I don't know if you want to say the name of your LCS, but I will say
Oh yeah,
that.
I can later. Yeah.
Yeah. But
So
when
my
I
shop, Fantasy Zone. Yeah, dude.
yeah, I do feel comfortable with saying that I I drive far to go to that store. That's how much I like it. If I go
Right.
to my LCS and they don't have a book I want, they order it without me even asking them. I'm like, hey, you have this? They're like, nope, don't have it. Okay, cool. Next week I show up and they're like, hey, we got the book. I didn't ask them to do that. Maybe my wallet would have been better if they didn't do that. But they went the
Right,
extra
right.
mile, you know? And if I say I
Hmm.
don't want it, they're not gonna be like, oh, no, they just okay.
Yep.
That's it's nice.
Yeah,
It's about the people.
for sure. I think what's funny? If you walk into Fantasy Zone, um, it it might give off the vibe that it's like not a good shop actually. Because I'm trying to think. You walk in, it's a little like, dark, and I think that's maybe the main thing, right? They don't have like light. um, so you walk in, but once you start talking to the shop owner, Julie, you're like, oh, okay, this is great. This is great. Everything's organized, right? That's another big thing is that everything's organized in long boxes. Everything's bagged and boarded, like the back issues are. Um, my shop, unfortunately, doesn't do bags and boards included. That's like the one thing. If they did that, it would be,
Oh no,
oh man, it'd be
in
so
mine
crazy.
you have to
But
buy them. Sometimes you get the back, the backs and board, but mostly for single issues like new comic books, they're not included. I
yeah,
request them because I like to take care of my books, and I have all my books, boarded. If I don't have a bag and a board for my books, I don't even put them near the rest of the books. I keep it in like a shelf because I don't want it to get damaged at
yeah,
all.
somewhere high where it can't get wet or whatever.
Yeah, but
Yeah, I'm with you.
I think that's good that you say that organized. Uh, they you might get lost the first time you go to a comic book store. Just ask. They're
Right.
organized in their own way.
Yeah.
Sometimes you won't understand it when you first walk in, but they have a way, like, because they work there, they have to know where everything is, so they have their own way of organizing things. It might be different from store to store,
Right.
but it makes sense once you start going and going and going. Is there anything that for
Yeah.
you is a green flag in a comic book? We can talk about red flags and green flags. Let's do one
Yep.
green flag each and then a red flag. I feel like that'd be cool.
Yeah.
What do you
So
think?
green flag, right? As soon as you walk in, and I feel like this is the case. So when I'm in there shopping, like just looking around, someone comes in that's not me. Julia always says hi, no matter who you are, new customer, you're a regular, you've been going there for years and years and years. Julia's like, hey, how's it going? How can I help you? That's like absolutely green flag because this, I know we're doing green flag, but this leads me right into my red flag is the opposite of that. So this other shop I tried going to before I made this my LCS, I was just testing the waters. It's my old apartment. I had such a negative experience there that that's why I went to Midtown Comics. You know what I mean? Like even though there's a shop 15 minutes away, my first two experiences like were not good at all. So I'm like, you know what? I'm taking my business online. I think it's important for, you know, definitely support LCS any way you can. But if they mess up, give them another chance to make it right, right? Like don't just cut them off immediately. People make mistakes, we're all human. After that second mistake, all right, now you're it's okay if you take maybe a third mistake. But this first experience was like so negative that I just had to take my business elsewhere. I walk in, I'm like, hey, I was new to reading comics. This is when I was new, right? I'm trying to talk to the guy, and he's like reading something, and he's totally just not listening to me. I'm like, dude, I'm like here, I'm trying to give you my business. I want to make a pull list, right? And he's like, yeah, it's one of these sheets, fill it out. I don't know what I'm doing. What do you mean fill out a sheet? Like, what's this series? What's that series? How am I supposed to? So it's like he wasn't my guide, right? He wasn't my guide to the comic book reading experience. Whereas it's a total opposite when I was going to Fantasy Zone. Hey, I'd like to start a pull list. Oh, great. Here's our sheet. Let me walk you through every series. Oh, do you like Batman? Here's all the Batman series, and there's like 30. Oh, do you like Spider-Man? You know what I mean? So I think that's just red flag, green flag is your initial experience. Like right when you walk in the door, how do they treat
Yeah.
you? That
Um.
was a long rant, but it really made me upset the first time.
So a green flag. And then I guess I'll do green red. And I have two green flags, so I guess I'll pass it on to you after this one, so you can do another green flag if you have another one. Um. Green flag, and it's something that I don't benefit from, but I know people do. They have like a kids comic book section. That's a big green flag because a store that tries to market for everyone. Because that's the thing. I think when you hear comic books as a new reader, you think like Batman, oh Spider Man. It's an entire world of comic books. I mean, Adventure
Right.
Time has comic books. My favorite, I don't know if you know Over the Garden Wall.
I've heard of
It's a
it.
mini, yeah, great mini series. If anyone has, if you haven't watched it, they have comic books. Everything has comic books, and I feel like for people, and we personally know some people who have kids and they're big comic book fans. Showing those comic books to your kids for the first time, it's nice, and a store that has the diversity to show everyone like, hey, here's something for you. That's
Right.
interesting. That's a very good thing, and I think that's a green flag in my eyes. And I want to say, uh, my red flag is a store. It's a business, we know that, but a comic book store that's only a business. But it's not no personality, no care for you. Um, yeah, that's a red flag, and I'll tell you why. Because comic book, like let's say a clothing store, you buy clothes from a million different places. You go I don't want to say brands because I can't think of any right now. But you can buy a shirt at this store and pants at another store. Comic book stores depend on you going to their store. They
Right.
depend on you making a pull list. They depend on you going there week by week. And if they're only a business and they don't care about you as a person, or they don't go the extra mile, and it kind of ties into what you said, like talking to you and like actually caring and asking you, hey, how can I help you? They're losing business. That's what they're doing. You can find another comic book store where you're gonna take your business to, because they didn't see you as a human being. They just saw you as money, and they're not even good at
As a
seeing you as
walking
money. Let's be
number. Yeah.
honest.
Right. Right.
So yeah, do you
Nah,
have
dude, I
another green
totally
flag?
agree. Yeah, another green flag for me. Kind of similar to what you were saying about a children's section. I guess I'll say it real quick. So my shop, they don't have like such a big children's section. It would be cool if it was bigger, but because it's such a small shop, like it really is, like I don't know if it'd be economically viable for them to have like a larger, but they do have a good amount running along the bottom wall of the new releases. So that way, if they're a kid, they're that tall, they can like actually grab it. I think that's pretty funny. I noticed that. I was like, oh, there's actually like a whole bunch of kids comics down here. That's pretty cool. But similar to yours, I think because manga is so, it's like the other side of the coin, right? I don't know if that's like a hot take. I don't know if I'll get some heat for that, but um, if you have a manga section, my store actually has a pretty decent sized one that draws in comic book readers and vice versa, right? So sometimes I'll find myself just browsing the manga section. It's like, okay, cool. Like maybe one day I'll get some volumes of Attack on Titan or whatever because they're there, and I think that's cool. And that's something that I am seeing them grow. I go there every week. They're growing it more and more. So that's really cool to kind of see the evolution of that. Um, so I don't know if it'll be manga is so huge right now, so it makes sense both, from a business sense and also getting both sides to be interested in one another, one-stop shop for both of these different um, stories. So that'd be
Yeah,
mine is a manga section because I think they benefit each other, you know what I mean?
yeah. I guess we'll go to my green flag, and then I don't know if we have any closing red flags. My green flag is it goes back to my first green flag, which is like well to my red flag actually. They see you as a person and they ask the right questions, because asking the right questions is everything. I remember, and it might have not been my first visit, but Brian, the guy that works at Phil's, he asked me, what do you want to read? Pick a character. But I think that's the best way to jump into comic books. Pick a character, and just stick to it. I didn't have a character to pick. I said Spider Ham, and he didn't have the issue I wanted. You know.
Right.
And he asked me like, "What movies do you like?" And I would have never thought about it that way. But yeah, what movies do you like? That can lead to, oh, this is actually just like Pulp Fiction. This is just like this movie. That's when they ask the right questions, and it goes beyond like, oh, what superhero do you like? And
Right.
and I want to say that is because there's more than Marvel and DC. I'm a big Marvel guy right here. Maybe I don't know a lot of like information, but I buy a lot of them. I would
Yeah.
say the majority of my books are Marvel. I have one long box and two short boxes. The long box is just Marvel, and it's full right now.
Right.
So, but the fact that he asked me like, "Hey, what movies do you like?" and he recommended me an indie book, that's good. When a store tries to sell you indie books, that shows you that they know comic books.
Right.
Because you have to know comic books. It's not as simple as like, well, Spider-Man right here. We selling Spider-Man. No, they will sell you some dual power bomb. Hey, what do you like? Oh, I like WWE. Oh, have you considered a dual power bomb? Things like that. That I like that. That's a green flag for me. When they try to sell, not ask the right questions first of all, but also sell you something that's not Marvel and DC.
Right.
Back to you, Cody.
Yeah, dude. I'm trying to think. I think right now, I think that's pretty much all of my green and red flags. Um, I did go on like quite a quite a
Oh, you
rant
you
about
went
my red
wild.
flag though. That was such a big red flag to me. Because it's just like to go back to it, I'm gonna make it a whole other rant. But if I own a comic shop, right, I would do everything in my power. Like the person that walked in, oh, you say you're new, you're my sole focus. I'm gonna hook you up. I'm gonna make sure you're all set and fall in love with this medium, right? It makes me think that he doesn't actually like comics. You know what I mean? Like
Oh,
you don't want me to
100%.
read comics. Anyways, that's a whole other thing. But yeah, I think that's it for me. Do you have any like last green or red flags?
No, I think anything I can say can go back to the same green and red flags.
Right.
Um, if they, I don't know, like I've seen it once. Um, I guess it's a red flag, but I saw it once at a store. Cause I have this series on TikTok called Store Tours, and I go to a bunch of different stores and do a tour of the store. No one's asked me to do it. I just do it because I know that it's kind of hard to find stores around you and know where to start. So what I always do is I go into the store and I buy a book, sort of to show the viewer like, hey, this is what I'm buying. If you want to read something, this I
Hmm.
recommend this. And then I also ask the clerk at the working behind the counter, hey, what do you recommend? And they normally tell me a book, and I show it in the video. For these videos, if I have the chance, I normally go and do some recon. I case the joint.
Mm.
And I went to this one store and I said, "Hey guys, how's it going? Do you have this?" And they said, "No." I was like, "Okay, do you have this?" No. It's what we have
Interesting.
there. Just what
Right,
we. And I
right.
was like, "Wow, just what you have there. You're not gonna like walk me. Hey, we don't have that, but we do have this over here."
Alternatives. Right,
Nope,
right.
nothing. That just complete lack of you know empathy. Just me trying to really find these books, and they're like, "No." And I'm not saying my store tours are gonna help a business. I'm not claiming that over here. I'm not gonna be like, "Oh, without my video, they'll go." No, they're not gonna go bankrupt. But like,
Right, right.
if someone's going there, and I did tell them like, "Hey, I want to film a video," like they're like, "Okay, cool." I'm trying to film a video about your store to post online,
Right.
and forget my video. Just like if someone's asking for help, just do the thing. It's sort of what you said. I think it's exactly what you said. It's like kind of like you have a business, sir. Your life
Yep.
depends on this, quite literally.
Right, right. Nah, and it's such a hard business too, and it's like just seeing, like the different sides of how a comic shop can be run. It's so crazy to me. Like, why wouldn't you want to be the positive, getting people to both help you out monetarily by buying more comics, but also you become their friend, and I trust my comic shop. I'm sure you do too. With my
100%.
life, dude. With my life.
Yes.
So yeah,
1,000%. I
I
mean,
think that's a
the
great way to
amount of people I have
yeah.
brought into my LCS, like, hey, you might like this place. Like, I'm getting them business not because I'm like, oh well, like I have to help them. No, I honestly will recommend this store to every single person in the planet because I just think it's that good,
Mm,
and I think it's that good because
right.
they made it that good. It's not about the books they have. I've never claimed
Yeah.
like, oh, they have everything. No, I just think it's my happy place.
Yeah.
It's my second home.
Dude, totally agree. I think that's a good way to close out this topic here. Now, Christian, it's time for the big topic.
I'm gonna put
Okay,
a
the big
graphic
topic
here.
of the episode. Even though that topic was actually kind of big and we could probably make it its own big topic. No, no, no. We
Should
have
we
a
put up
doc
a
that says this.
Should we put up a graphic that says big topic? I'll
Dude,
put up
whatever
a
you do in post, big topic. So for this one, we're gonna be talking about the DCEU. All right.
There we go.
Christian, really quick, what are your feelings on the DCEU?
Uh, I did mention the last episode how Flash is my favorite superhero. I'm not gonna get into the Flash. I'm not gonna
Yeah, I
sit
think
here.
we're both avoiding that with I didn't want to
I'm not gonna
I'm
sit
with you.
here and talk about the issues that they've had. I'm just gonna say this: the Flash being my favorite superhero, you can probably tell that I have an affinity for the DC extended universe. That's the name. That's yeah. That should be it. Um, and I just keep getting disappointed. Ignore like the
That's a good
quality
word
of the
for it.
movies, which ignore the quality of the movies. Just their decision making is. Every time they make a decision, I'm just like, well, that there goes that. And
Yeah.
yeah, even my dad, uh, who's my dad likes superhero movies. He never read comics, but he likes superhero movies, and I have been asked by him a couple of times, like, "Hey, so wasn't that already like a thing? Oh, so who's the Batman now? Oh, two Suicide Squads? You know, those questions.
Right.
Well, they could be avoided.
It's so okay. Right. To me, right? And on some level, it feels kind of unfair to compare them to the MC, right? But if you're trying to do a grand unified vision, you're gonna get compared to the MCU, right? And on all accounts, they're kind of, we're not trying to make this a super negative topic either. They're kind of failing on all accounts because I don't think they
Yes,
have, like, you have to start from something and then go somewhere, right? And it's either you do that, which it sounds like they're trying to with their 10-year plan, whatever, or you take the route and you do one off Elseworld type movies, right? Where you have Robert Pattinson's The Batman, you have the Joker, you have, you know what I mean? Like, you can do just
yeah,
movies, you can just make comic
yeah,
book movies. They don't have to be like linked together so intricately. Even like Peacemaker, right? I mean, I know that links off of Suicide Squad, but it like almost didn't share any DNA with the rest of the DCEU. There is that one scene where there is like the Justice League that
yeah.
show up late or whatever, um, but it doesn't really feel like it feels like its own story in the universe. It doesn't feel like we are building the universe, right?
Yeah,
Um,
I would say when it
but
comes,
yeah,
I'm gonna say my favorite thing in the DCEU right now, because I don't think the Batman is in the DCEU. That's just a DC movie. My
right.
favorite thing, and I actually don't know if this is the DCU, but I will count it because in my brain it's fantastic. Doom Patrol is my favorite DC project right now.
Right.
Doom Patrol is just fantastic, and it deserves all the praise it can get. And the fact that it might be canceled because of this 10-year plan really bothers me.
It's so weird, dude, because, so personally, I mean, maybe I'm part of the problem. I haven't seen Doom Patrol yet, but just hearing the way people talk about it, like, man, this is something that people really love. There's something really special here. I know that without even seeing it yet. And it's really weird because they have one foot in, hey, we're making really good Joker, the Batman, Elseworld. They're all off in their own zone, each movie in its own world, right? But then they're also doing this 10-year plan. It doesn't really make sense to me. Um, even from the point of, like you said, the TV shows, right? You got Doom Patrol. That doesn't fit in with everything, but it's really good. And I don't want to get into the whole CW, the whole CW side of it. I think those shows are really hit or miss. I really loved The Flash when it first started, and Arrow was really good. But some of those shows are kind of um, really hit
Run
or
its
miss. I
course.
think for me, for sure, I think for me, and I want to see if you agree with this. I think the DCEU has really high highs, but has really low lows.
I
Whereas if you
would.
compare it to the MCU, it's got like all like the worst an MCU movie's gonna be is still like a 5 out of 10. You know what I mean?
I would say like a
And then it
6 out of
has really
10
high
even.
highs.
Yeah, like
Dude, yeah, exactly, right?
I'm gonna like even though we're talking about DC, my and I feel it's like so stupid because I know this is like everyone talks about this one being their word MCU movie, but like I don't like Thor: The Dark World. Actually, I haven't liked it before TikTok came out and people were talking about how much they didn't like it. I remember I liked
Right.
it on the day I watched it, and then the day after I was like, wait, actually, it wasn't that good. Um,
I'm with you.
that movie I would still watch over some DCEU projects.
Agreed. Agreed. Like that's the best way to put it. Because for me, I know, you know what? It's interesting. I've seen a lot of like almost revisionist history where people really end up, they're saying like, oh no, Thor Dark World, that's not the worst one. Like, dude, from where I was, everybody was in unanimous agreement that that was the worst one. What are you guys talking about? All of a sudden
Yeah,
it's
no.
good. The only person that can like it, and I don't know if you're listening to it, Thor Storian. That one, I give you a pass because you love Thor so much.
Yes.
Everybody else, you gotta quit playing. You gotta quit playing.
Yeah, you can't
Um,
go. You
but
can't
you put it perfectly,
retroactively
dude.
change it.
That's what I'm saying. So you put it perfectly though to compare Dark World, which I think is MCU's lowest point, but it's still like 5.5, 6 out of 10, right? Compare that to Suicide Squad, not James Gunn's, right? You compare it to Suicide Squad. That's like a, I don't know, like a two or a three. I mean, you get
It's
like a two for just making a movie because making movies is hard. But man, I gotta.
no, they get
That
like
thing
a
was kind
two
of a
for the
mess.
trailers.
Okay.
They
Oh, the
get a two
trailers
from
were super good.
they get a two for
So
having great
true.
trailers. If you have Ballroom Blitz, which
Right.
I think was the song in the first trailer, I'm gonna like it. But
Right.
I don't. I just like. And here's the thing, and then this is gonna be a hot take, and if anyone disagrees with me, please let's talk about it. You know, like in a very civilized manner. I did not like Batman v Superman. And
I
I've
don't
heard
think
a
that's
lot
a
of
hot
people.
take, and if it is,
Well, no, no, I'm going for something. I don't. I know a lot of people say like, oh,
hmm,
but Batman's like fight in that warehouse or whatever it was, right? It's fantastic. That's the best Batman we've ever seen. Which, like, hey, if that's your opinion, that's great. But I don't think that's gonna save a movie for me. I'm not gonna
right.
watch a movie and be like, man, those 2 hours sucked, but those 5 minutes, like halfway through, whew.
Yep. I totally agree. Um, I mean, I'm just looking back at it, right? Like you started with, you're trying to do this whole like dark side war, forming of the Justice League. Sounds really cool on paper, right? Just wasn't executed well. Even though I think the Snyder Cut actually, I don't know, did you ever watch the Snyder
It
Cut?
was better,
It
but
was better for sure, right? It still wasn't where a Justice League movie
oh,
could or should
if
have
you're
been,
I
but
watched it because people were like telling me like, "Hey, watch it." I would not sit down to watch a 4 hour movie that was just okay. Better doesn't mean it was
right, yes.
wow. It was just better than the other one. I mean,
Yeah, dude,
in my
I'm
opinion,
with you there.
the only two I like are Man of Steel and Wonder Woman, the
Okay.
first Wonder Woman, because I'm not gonna get into the second Wonder Woman because that's a lot of things that I don't want to mention.
Yeah. So, I mean, along the same lines, right? I think Man of Steel's pretty solid, like pretty solid, especially for a start of like the whole thing. And then, yeah, like you said, the first Wonder Woman is super solid. James Gunn's Suicide Squad, super solid. And then I like Shazam a lot, actually. I think Shazam is a really fun movie. I think it
I haven't watched
understands what
Shazam.
it, dude, definitely you should watch Shazam. It definitely, it's fun and it feels like, okay, we're not trying to be anything super crazy. We're just going to tell a fun story. So I like Shazam a lot. Excited for Shazam 2. That's the other thing, dude. They got a lot of movies on the horizon, but it already conflicts with their 10-year plan. Unless those movies are included in the 10-year plan, I don't know.
They have a lot of, I would say, big movies that I'm not excited for. Not big, maybe because
Yeah,
I haven't
I
watched
think,
Shazam number one.
yeah.
But even like
Okay.
the Flash
Yeah,
being
yeah.
my favorite character and ignoring the like the issues we've had with the Flash. The Flash is my favorite character. I my keychain for my car keys is the Flash. Um,
Hmm.
I I'm not excited for the Flash. There was never a point where I was like, "Ah, I cannot wait for this." It's
Yeah. So, okay, can I go on like a little mini rant? I'll go on a little
okay.
mini
Go
rant here.
go on it. Go on it. You got it.
So, like, okay, before when the Batgirl was still a thing,
Which, by the way, is
um,
wow. No, I hate that.
that's crazy. That's a whole
I'm
thing, right? It's just so crazy that a movie's done and they don't even want to put it on HBO Max, right? Anyways,
I'm
um,
still so
so
angry
okay,
about it
so
that I don't want to talk.
it's so in that movie, right? Where did Batgirl fit in? Is that in the same universe as is that Ben Affleck? Like, is he the Batman? No, it was Michael Keaton. Okay, that's kind of weird, right? So that doesn't fit in with the DCEU then, right? But then they made it a whole big deal that in the Flash movie that may or not be a thing. They might maybe it's canon, whatever. Michael Keaton is the Batman in that. It's like what? What are you talking about? So you're not gonna have Ben Affleck to be a part of the DCEU to make it more. This is in the DCEU. You're gonna have Michael Keaton, and just for like a to me it felt kind of very fan servicey.
Wait, hey, it's great. I love Michael Keaton.
Totally right. I've seen Birdman. I love Birdman.
I love Birdman. I was talking about Birdman today, actually.
Dude, Birdman is so good. We should do a whole episode on just Birdman.
My favorite superhero, non-superhero.
But you know what I mean though, right? It's like are you or are you not
Okay,
in
so
trying
let's
to do
talk
a whole
this.
thing?
How do you fix it, Cody? Tell me. You go
Okay,
first.
first off, how do I fix it? There are some parts that I would keep, right? Like I think everyone's pretty much in agreement. Henry Cavill should absolutely get another shot at Superman. Wasn't given a fair shake. Man of Steel was good, but it didn't do Superman justice, right? So I would keep Henry Cavill for sure. I think Gal Gadot, I never know how to say her name. She's great as Wonder Woman, right? But I mean Wonder Woman, 1984, maybe that she was good
Which
at
is
it though. I
Wonder
don't think
Woman.
it was her fault.
I
Right.
just think they took some decisions that not only were not good for the writing, but were just wrong. And
Right.
I mean in the moral sense of the word.
Okay, yeah, yeah. I know what you mean.
Yes.
Trying to think what else I would keep. I guess you know what? I would keep Ben Affleck Batman. I think he did a great job in the little that we've seen of him. Um, I don't know. There's nuggets there that I would keep, but then it's like I don't know, man. To me, I think how I would fix it, I wouldn't do a DCEU. I don't know if this is a hot take. I think to me, the direction that they're going, where they have Doom Patrol, Suicide Squad, Peacemaker, like all these different separate things that are kind of not connected really at all. You know what I mean? Like have a Wonder Woman movie that Batman can be in it, but it doesn't have to be building up like a Thanos saga. You know what I mean? Like do like one off like that. That would be totally comic booky, right? If you just have a like a mini series with a character and a character, just go. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's how I feel personally. I think they should go to the route of make a good movie that is a superhero movie instead of making very corporate like building block pieces to make up larger whatever, right? Like make like that you got to get people in there that actually love the source material. And if you're gonna do a DCU, you need to have a unified vision. I don't know who that person would be. Who is the Kevin Feige for the DCEU, right? But you can't have it both ways. You got to stop with this. Oh, we have, Robert Pattinson's Batman. It's really good. Probably my favorite Batman movie of all time. But we're not going to build it any further. But then you're going to have all these not so good movies built together. It's like, okay, great. But they're not that good. So I don't know. That was a whole rant, but that's how I feel. Do one or the other. You can't do both.
Okay. I have been thinking
Um,
about this all day. Been getting ready.
Okay.
Um,
Lay it on me, dude. How do
Here's
you
how I
fix
would
it?
do it. The Batman was great. Matt Reeves' Batman. Because Ben Affleck's Batman for me never felt like a full character. Like when I think back at watching movies with Batflick, they call him, I can only think of like 5 second clips instead of picturing a whole movie. You know what I mean?
He felt like a cameo. You know what I
Yeah, he
mean?
felt like a
Yeah.
cameo in the Justice League, and he was a big part of it. Every time he would show
Right.
up, I'd be like, "Hey, Batman!" No, he's like a he's a central part of it. So here's
Right.
what I do: you keep Mad Reeves' universe.
Okay. So
Um,
so you're building. So you would do it off of Matt Reeves.
I
Okay.
would, yeah, and mainly because it feels more grounded. You keep it, give it that
Yes.
human aspect,
Agreed.
which immediately we jump into. Give me a Green Arrow movie. Why?
Right. Very
Because
street level. Yep. Yep.
yeah, if we're going for thinking about the MCU, they didn't start with like Thanos is here. They start with like these are two. You get Iron Man, you get Captain America. Small stories, but like we know they'll like meet at some point. But like you can take your time and
Right.
develop them. I don't need to see Darkseid right now. I just want to see
That dude.
characters I love.
Yes.
So like,
Yes.
hey,
Totally.
listen, make a Green Arrow movie. Get a good Green Arrow. Hey, it does good. Make the next one, and then you start building. They never thought they'd be making Iron Man 2. It's not like they jumped into it thinking like, hey, we're gonna see Thanos in 10 years. No, they were making movies. Yes, once they started seeing
Right.
the people's reactions, they made a plan. They didn't start with the plan. They started with a movie. And I think Mad Reeves'
Yeah.
Batman is the perfect movie for that. Now we jump into the Flash. He's my favorite character. Make Grant Gustin the Flash. I'll tell you why I think that is. Grant Gustin, I think, is a fantastic actor, and I haven't watched the show since season 6. I think Grant Gustin is the perfect Flash in my eyes. The thing about the Flash is that he's the heart of the Justice League. And when I look at
Right.
Grant Gustin, I'm like, wow, I think he'd be my friend. I think I'd like talking to that guy. He just looks like a nice person to like talk to, and I think that's who Barry Allen is.
Right.
Barry Allen is just this like happy guy that's gone through a lot of misery, but people like he's the heart of the family. Give me a Grant Gustin Flash movie, and he'd have better writing and better VFX and everything. It wouldn't be like some of the issues with the Flash, the TV show that a lot of people have are like the VFX, the writing. No, once
Yeah.
you give him a movie actually produced by a bigger studio, that those things get better. But I do think he's the perfect Flash, at least as of now. And I think he deserves the shot at being the Flash. Um, don't get into like giving him this nice suit. No, make it like year one. That's what I like about the Batman.
Right.
He's in his most basic form. You know?
So along those same lines, I think you're totally right about, well, first off about the Flash. Personally, I don't know if I don't. It'd be cool to see him in a movie. It just it gets a little weird with like the is he the same one from the TV show, all that
No,
stuff.
no, we're
But a
restarting it.
Flash movie in general. Okay, so restarting it but keeping him. Yeah, I
Yeah.
can get down behind that. I mean, I think he did a great job as Barry. So along, but the point I want to make about the you want to start it with the Batman. I think it's genius. And I think because it's so grounded doesn't mean that there can't be these more fantastical elements, right? Like,
But
for example, people were saying, but like, so keeping it grounded is good, but I think you could have a Flash in that world, right? That makes sense to
oh,
me.
100%.
You know what I
Because the
mean?
Flash, while it is a pretty fantastical element or character,
Right, like
it he
superpowers in that.
he's
Yeah.
very human in the way he thinks. I would wait till like a phase 2 for like a Green Lantern, since you go more
Right.
into space. Do more of like the hey, like Guardians of the Galaxy was in phase 1. Wait a little bit for a Green Lantern, but like you have the Flash, Green Arrow, Batman, which are like the Flash is super powerful, but like it's still like like I would see him as like sort of like the Thor. Like he has superpowers, but like he's Like it still feels grounded. And you
Dude,
give him a
totally. I'm
villain.
totally with you.
You give him a villain at the end of like 5 movies, 6 movies that they all have to come together to fix. The problem. Not like a
The
world-ending
third
villain.
movie can't be the team up movie. Yeah.
Yeah, not a world-ending problem, but just a small problem. That they do need each other for. Just like Loki and the Avengers. Now they could do that with
Yeah.
one person could beat Loki. But in the beginning, they were so new that they needed each other. And the Justice League, it was sort of like, hey guys, we know it's the second movie, but the world's ending.
The world. Exactly. Dude, I'm so with you. And so like I think that's a good point is, you have this blueprint. Well, first off, you can look across the water with your bat binoculars and you can see what the MCU is doing. The fact that they're not like copying it like more on the nose is so mind-blowing to me. Like, listen, making movies is hard, right? I don't know the first thing about making a movie. But
It's
Jesus,
hard, yeah.
dude, it's hard, but like you have such great source material. All these stories have already been written, right? I'm trying to draw a circle around them. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. And I think doing it with the Batman, that makes the most sense to me. And I can honestly, I can see them taking that route. It's like, hey, our 10-year plan, it actually started with the Batman earlier this year. It's like,
Yeah,
oh, okay, that's actually kind of
not
cool.
even
That's interesting.
not even necessarily saying like the Batman because it's a great movie. No, it's because it was grounded. It felt very human. Like
Right.
it had some aspects that
Matt
like
Reeves
some
likes
people,
Batman, actually. Yeah.
yeah, it has some aspects that some people didn't like, whatever. But like I could feel Gotham. I could feel how humid it was when I looked at the streets, and I could feel the fear inside of me when like people were scared. Gotham
Yeah.
was a character, and that's what makes it so cool. It's a simple story. Like the story of the Batman is not complicated, even though it's a mystery. It's just a guy
Yeah.
who has some, you know, problems psychologically because he's experienced loss and he's trying to make up for it. That's
Yeah.
it. There's no like,
Dude,
Batman v
I'm with you,
Superman was
man.
just like we're fighting now. It's like no, make it
Yeah.
grounded, keep it grounded. Like the
I'm
story of
with you, dude. And I
Superman and
think,
Batman, it's there already. You
right.
have the heart of the story. Just let it grow on its own.
Yeah. And, we've said this so many times, but I think I can totally see a Superman, maybe not Henry Cavill's, maybe Henry Cavill's, what do I care, in the world of the Batman. I don't know. Is that a hot take?
No, I can
But
see
it
it.
just, I can see it if done correctly. Dude, maybe Matt Reeves is your guy. I don't know if you'd want to take that on. It sounds really time consuming to be the visionary for the DCEU, but
Yeah.
um,
Let's do this.
I
Cody,
don't
look at the camera. Hey, DC, listen to us. We're your guys.
Dude, not even us. You know what's funny is, like I'll help if they approach me and they say, "Hey, here's a bunch of money, tell us how to fix it." Bro, I'm splitting it with a lot of people in the crossover comics. I'm splitting it with like Longbox and Hillbilly Comics, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'll take a 60% cut, but like, this 40%, I'll divvy it up between the crossover comics guys and they'll hook you up. I'll be the
Like
middleman, the finder's fee.
I think my last thing I'll say about this, and by the way, I haven't mentioned more characters other than Green Arrow, Batman, and the Flash because I right now
Oh, for
can't think of
sure, yeah.
anything else. I mean, Wonder Woman would be great to have, but I think you should wait a little bit more to tell that story. Not like enough like Black Widow, but like enough to like kind of like start with the more grounded characters, then go into like the mythological like aspect of it. I'll end it by saying this: a lot of people are excited about Black Adam, right? Black Adam. Well, I haven't watched the Sam, like I said. It feels to me more like a spectacle. Like we're already getting members of the JLA.
Or the
It's a
JSA, but yeah, I
the
know what you mean.
JSA. There you go. JLA is. I don't even know what I'm thinking about. Yeah, JSA. Um, it's about a character. If you're releasing the first movie of a character, being Black Adam, he's been in no other movies, guys. You need to give me him, not give me the JSA. I
right?
mean, it's cool. I love seeing it. But like develop your characters a little bit before you actually introduce the world-ending threat. In a movie like
Dude, I don't even
Suicide
know. Yeah,
Suicide Squad
I'm
didn't
with you,
need
dude.
that
And
because I don't know, man.
yeah. So like, okay, so to me, right? And I don't know, maybe we'll get this answer when the movie comes out. Doesn't it look like Black Adam is taking place in modern day, right?
Yes,
Am I crazy? Or doesn't it?
it
Right.
totally
So
does.
it's like, so how are you going to explain that the JSA was like, is that in the DCEU or not? You have to make up your mind. That's how I'm going to end my part, right? Is just, it's so frustrating to see a lot of like different spots of good stuff, but those spots aren't the thing that is connected. So it's like either connect them or no. Keep making awesome solo movies, keep going with Batman, give him a trilogy, all that stuff, or don't, right? But you're doing both, and it doesn't click to me. But I don't know, whatever.
I guess I'll end it by saying, take it slow. If I have to wait 10 years for the full universe, I'll wait 10 years. I'm
Yeah,
not happy with them canceling Batgirl.
nah, that sucks, dude. That's crazy.
Start with don't start with your heavy, don't start with Superman. I mean, let's remember Iron Man wasn't Marvel's pride and joy when they did the MCU. That's the Fantastic Four, Spider-Man. That was Marvel's like everything. And they didn't do it until like 8 years later. They took their
Right,
time with their biggest characters. Give me Green Arrow. I know the Flash is big and we already have the Batman. Green Arrow is such an interesting character. And I'm getting really passionate about this. I don't know why. I just want. Okay, I'll say this. As much as I love DC, like if they don't make another DC movie, I'll be okay. I'm not gonna
mm,
die about it. There are people who really need these stories. There are
true,
people
so
whose
true. Yeah,
entire life is DC, and they need it, and you just keep messing it up. Mind you, this is
dude,
DC
that's a great way.
movies,
Yeah,
not comics. The comics are great. You want to send some my way? Go ahead. Love your comics, DC.
yeah, dude. I'll do one more last point. So you said that I have a friendly disagreement with you then. That's fun. That's fun. First disagreement.
Oh, there we
I
go.
think Superman definitely should be like near the front. But like you're saying, there is a way to ground Superman. It doesn't have to be Superman.
Oh,
Immediately
hold on.
he's
I would.
fighting for the fate of the planet. It's like
No,
Man of Steel, you know what I
I'll be
mean?
okay.
I'm with
I'd
you,
be
but I'm
okay with
also I
him.
think there's yeah.
I'd be okay with him being in
I know what
there.
you mean though, right? Like he shouldn't yeah, it shouldn't be, like not him against like Brainiac on the first movie, you know what I mean?
Oh
Like
no,
that
no. What I
sounds
mean is like the
crazy,
way to
but
introduce a character like Superman is a character that like if you
grounded.
introduce him as the most powerful character ever, you get nothing.
Hmm.
You get no
Yeah.
development. You know. So if you introduce a
So pretty
new
much,
super,
whoa. No, so
like
sorry to cut you off, but kind of it sounds like the thing that we're looking for is like the first bit of Man of Steel, right? Where maybe more of it, like where he's learning to use his powers.
yeah,
He
that I
doesn't
mean
know
Captain
exactly what's going
America.
on. He's making mistakes.
I mean give
Agreed.
me
Yeah.
give me Captain America. Like it's about someone becoming a hero. Don't give me the biggest
Mm,
bad guy ever because that's your end game.
yeah.
Build it up, you can give me
I
Superman
think
in the first
I'm with
movie.
you, dude. Yeah.
You can give me Superman in the first movie, but make him like, hey, Batman's young. Batman's not he's like what 22 in that movie, give or
He's
take.
really young, yeah.
Give me a younger Superman. Show me Superman. Like Smallville was a good concept because it wasn't about Superman. It was about Clark Kent becoming Superman. Give me
Mm,
that.
well
Make
said,
him a
dude. Yeah,
symbol
all
later
these
on.
right. And that's I mean that's totally what the MCU is they kind of found this formula that really works for them. Do they ever introduce you to like a set of characters who is already like on top of stuff, right? You know what I mean? Like they don't. I'm trying to think. They don't have like a movie where it's like, okay, it's this person's movie, cameo, surprise. This person's been here the whole time. Like what? That doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, no,
So I think
no.
exactly like you're saying, every single movie you do, this is a perfect way to end it. Every single movie has to show them becoming a hero, like in the origin stories. Then, when you have all these different building blocks, now they can fight Darkseid. We just fixed the DCEU. We fixed it.
Yeah, 100%. I think we should get royalties. Mind you, let me
Yeah,
say it
if they
again.
do what we said, we have recording that we
Yeah,
came
let me
up with
say it
it.
again. Love your comic books, DC. And not just your superhero comic. No, no, no. Nice House on the Lake is everything to me. It's just the movies need a
Dude,
little
yeah,
bit of
so
a
true.
fixing.
But I think the real way to end this, right? Me and you, we're fans. We just want to see good movies. And it did sound like, maybe we got a lot of hate in our hearts. That's not the
No
case.
hate.
We just really want to see them succeed, right? Like these
I'm
mean a
I'm
lot
I'm
to a
helpful.
lot of different people. Yeah, you guys can do it. You can do it. I believe in you.
There was
I
this
think that's the
one.
perfect way to end it.
Yeah, I'll end it by saying this. I remember being in high school and everyone being like, "Did you watch this? Oh my god, it was everything." And we talked about it for a week. That's what I want. I want people to have that like, "Oh my god, the next DC movie's coming out." Not be like, "Oh, let's see if this one's good." No, I there's no hate. I just honestly I am excited to see good movies because I know the characters they have. I know the stories they can make. They just have to do them. That's it. There's
Yeah.
no hate. I got heated because I'm
No hate,
passionate
dude.
about this, not because I hate them.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well said, dude. I think that'll do it. Issue
Yeah.
number two, color break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be sure to rate it, watch it everywhere. Leave a there's a Q&A section on Spotify. Leave us a question. We'll be happy to answer it. We're very
Leave a
active
comment
and
on
we care a
YouTube.
lot. Yeah, we care a lot
Yeah.
about everyone who listens. And yeah, I'll just end it by saying thank you for watching or listening, and have a good night, day, morning.